Welcome, Atlanta United family, to another episode of Resurge to Fight ATL, presented to you by FILA Sports Podcast here. Also giving a warm welcome to all the Charlotte fans that are going to be watching here with our guest from Top Ben Jorge Gonzalez. How you doing, man? How you feeling? What's the vibe you're getting? From Charlotte, from these past couple games that you had?
It's good, man. I think the vibe is generally it's positive, after our start of three losses in a row. We got two wins. Yesterday we lost, but from an overall standpoint, I think there's a very positive feeling towards the team, more in terms of the way we play and what we're going to do versus how we're actually playing right now. Like, the fan base understands that we're an expansion team as well, and things are just getting started. So I think overall we have a positive vibe here.
I think that's probably important, right? Because like in MLS, you've got so much success from some of these franchises that have jumped in immediately. Like you've got Nashville, Atlanta. I mean, more recent ones, but then you have a team like Cincinnati who comes in and it's just the absolute bottom. So like if you can find a middle in between there, I think that's like what's important. But I mean, really, it's just important keeping your fan base, and I think that at least when I've seen some of Cincinnati's crowds, throughout the regular season after they came in, fans started to die down. So long as you can keep that hype going, I think that you guys will be fine.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially, I mean, we've had 3 home games so far. The first one, obviously, we broke the record, which was pretty cool. Then the last two, we had an average attendance of about 30,000, which is not bad at all for an expansion team.
Well, you guys took off the top, right? Like the top nobody sat at the top, right? It's like was it like a digital screen that's like all around it?
It is
That's
a digital
cool.
screen that's all around it. Like, when we're there, we definitely don't see it, obviously, but I think they might tarp it for the next couple of games. I've heard some rumors that they may be looking to do that, so we'll see. It might help kind of create the buzz within the stadium.
Something, that has really stuck out to me, man, like how you said, basically is what the coach is trying to implement into the team, man. I feel like the team is really getting to understand basically the idea that the coach wants to play with, basically, and that's important because, I mean, you like you said, you're an expansion team. You're not going to have these top quality guys right off the bat, but if you have an idea, or like, like a good foundation where you can start building that from, I feel like that's a good road to, that's going to end up leading to success basically down the road.
100%. I think excusing yesterday's game, because I think yesterday was by far our worst performance. We looked the flattest yesterday. From our preseason games all the way up to FC Cincinnati, we've had a big progression. You can see our players are more comfortable in possession. So under Miguel, what he likes to do is he likes to play out the back, and hold possession to find spaces, create combinations, and create goal scoring opportunities up in the final third. And I mean, it's a high risk, high reward system, right? And we saw the high risk yesterday where our goalie Kalina gave the ball playing out the back right to I can't remember the striker for Philly, and they just scored pretty much a tap in, which was a 2-0, was the second goal, and it kind of deflated us in the second half. So, but overall, you could start seeing that players are more comfortable playing within his system.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's gonna be important. MLS is a long season, and if also a lot can happen, throughout. It's a long season, man, and I feel like it's in a good position basically to make things happen.
Yeah,
You
I think
know,
so too as well. I think like our three key players, I would say, have been our goalie, who made a mistake yesterday, but he's been so crucial for us the
yeah.
last 5 games. We have a young midfielder, our first MLS draft pick, in Ben Bender, who I think has the quality to eventually make the U.S. men's national team. And then we have a DP striker in Karol Swiderski, who, I mean, he's already shown the quality of striker he is. Scott already has 4 goals in the MLS. And I mean, I think those 3 positions, and we have other players that are kind of getting there as well. I think we have a solid foundation where if we stay within 7th and 10th and maybe, you know, add a couple more pieces in the summer, we have a realistic chance of at least trying to finish within that playoff spot.
Yeah.
So you brought up your striker. So now I think you might know what I'm going to ask you here. There was a lot of controversy. I wake up one morning and I see that he doesn't get assigned to the national team, and they're posting the letter from Charlotte. I don't even remember what you could probably fill in the holes here, but I don't know what team, national team he plays for. But I know he got hurt,
Poland,
and then he was able to play. So can you tell us a little bit about what happened there?
So here's the thing. What happened was Charlotte sent a medical report to Poland letting them know that Swiderski would be out 1 to 2 weeks. Here's what I think happened. Poland made the decision, you know what, let him just stay there. And the player recovered within that week and started Saturday, our game against FC Cincinnati. And all the Poland fans were like, yo, what's going on? And them, to save face, posted that letter saying, hey, this is what we got from Charlotte. Because the next day, that same, it's not the, I don't remember who exactly from the Poland national team mentioned it, but say, hey, this is not us taking a dig at Charlotte. This is us letting you guys know why we made this decision, right? And so to kind of save face on their mess up, they posted that out. But of course, I don't know what it is with y'all fans base or the MLS fan base in general, where like the first thing was, hey, let's make this assumption, or like, let's attack Charlotte on this. And so, I mean, if the guy who actually posted the letter came out and said, hey, no fault in Charlotte, this was on us, everybody failed to see that, but everybody saw that very first post of, oh, Poland is putting out this message.
Well, and that's what happens. You know, I mean, MLS
Of
fans
course.
are crazy, but national teams are even crazier, and especially
Yeah.
United States. So, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, Atlanta gets a new coach every 6 months, right? Lately, and you know, Miles Robinson. I think it was the Frank DeBoer when he came in. It wasn't like a window where they had to send Miles Robinson. It was a new coach, so they wanted to, or maybe it was the Heinz. I don't remember. All the coaches now are just I'm getting mixed up with. But anyways, so he doesn't go to camp, and there was like someone else that wasn't released as well, and like everybody was like, "What's going on? How can you not send him to this camp?" And like this was just off like him getting hurt and like in a transfer window or a big window right before the playoffs, he gets hurt. So like you know, U.S. national fans were going nuts about it, and then U.S. fans were upset because Miles didn't leave Atlanta United over the summer, right? Or over the winter. Like they were so upset that he didn't leave. And like people were like, Atlanta's holding Miles Robinson back. And it's like, you're insufferable. Like I basically just try to stay off Twitter. When it comes to the U.S. national team, it's the most toxic fan base around. Like they want to hate on everything. And it's only going to get worse.
To a degree, you know what? I actually like how much stick we kind of get, because that lets us know people are watching us. You know, I'd rather be that like in the eye of the storm more often than not, than just be an irrelevant team that nobody cares about.
Look, man, like the way that I feel it, man, it's like a family, man. You know, like the younger brother. It's like the younger brother always gets the BS. You know, he always is the one that gets smacked around and get blamed for everything. Like that's how it is, man. With the new expansion team coming in, I mean, that's the way. You know, the fans are always going to be like, you know, criticizing without a fact. But I mean, at the end, you know, it's just the results that are gonna show. I mean, like I said, I mean, you could tell that Charlotte's got a good idea of what they want to do. It's just the quality of the play, you know, is not there. But the idea is for
even
sure
Miguel in his press conference said last week, which I really liked. He's like, we may not be the quality team we want to be just yet, but we're definitely a team that's going to be very difficult for every opposition to win against. And I even think you saw that against you guys where it took a last-minute goal to beat us 2-1 in Atlanta, which we kept ourselves in that game as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, we
and
know.
that's
Oh, we know.
even going into next week. Even Atlanta, man, they haven't had the best of games, recently. I mean, we saw that last night. I mean, we haven't really had a chance to talk about that, but we didn't really have the best performance overall, but we still walked away with the 3 points.
Three
Last-minute goal,
stoppage time. Three stoppage time.
Yeah,
Either two winners and a tying goal. Like literally in like the last like minute of stoppage, and all
yeah,
three. Like crazy. Like how it happens. But I mean that
yeah,
Charlotte game. Like you know, when I watched that first half, I was like, we should be winning 6-0.
yeah.
But the goalie kept it in. Atlanta was just off. Like I know they were missing a lot of players, but it was like it was a frustrating game to watch. And then I felt bad for your goalie because he had such a great game, and then that game winner to go off one of the defenders' backs and like perfectly into the net. I was like, oh, he was just so upset, and I was like, I feel you, man. I feel you that you had a great performance there.
For sure, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Kalina is a monster, honestly, man. He's definitely gonna be up there like top goalkeepers this season,
Yeah,
man.
you know what,
He's
man? I
definitely
can
putting
think
up.
of at least 6 1v1 scenarios that he saved us from. But that's what you get with Miguel's type of system. Like you need a goalie like that because they're always going to be in that high risk position, right? And so to have a guy like him who defensively, like if you're in that his back line, you're very comfortable with having a goalie like that. That if you mess up, he can save you from time to time. So
Man, I wish we had that with Guzan, man. But sometimes, man, he just flops so badly.
Well, I mean, whatever. He won us a championship. We got to give him his
Yeah,
retirement run here.
right.
yeah. I mean, eventually, man. Hopefully, we gotta find some type of replacement for him. Like, actually, like like a good MLS quality
A
goalkeeper
cheap,
that's
a
gonna.
cheap one, not the most
Yeah,
expensive one in
yeah,
MLS. That's
yeah,
that's really what it has. But yeah, I mean, it's got to be exciting for Charlotte. I mean, this is I see at the bottom here. The game's on ABC, which I'm pumped for. I'm going to be in an airport watching it, so I'm excited. But like, I love MLS when the games are on national TV, and like I think you guys were on Fox for the first game of the season, right?
Yep.
yeah,
Like that's I feel like it's like big time. Like when you're on like the net, like ESPN's cool, but like when you're on Fox, you're on ABC. It just has a big game time. It's like a big game feel, like I'm pumped to see them. It's good to get MLS out there, right? And like I think this
Yeah.
is important time now because I know baseball is just starting and like the NHL playoffs are starting, but like get as many games on as possible for MLS. We need to build this league and we need to build like rivalries. And, no offense to Orlando fans, but it hasn't been a rivalry.
Yeah.
And I think, they're really trying to, Nashville, they were trying to build it, but they're in the West now. So this is what we got. This is the rivalry, right? Like
Yeah.
this is what we're
And
building for. And game one did not disappoint. It was an exciting game.
right.
So if they can put on another good performance like this, both teams, it's just great for the rivalry and it's great for the sport.
Yeah, and that's my thing. I'm like, we're 0-3 away, but I'm like, if we can become strong at home, that's where it's gonna matter the most, right? And obviously, we want to pick up wins outside, but I mean, we've played 3 games apart from our first game against LA, where we lost 1-0. We won back to back at home, and we're slowly starting to see. We want Charlotte to kind of be a fortress for us as well. And this is the one thing I know Miguel, in my opinion, doesn't have the team he wants yet. But the great thing is he has an understanding of the system that he wants to play. And if we continue to play that system more often than not, we'll get favorable results even against stronger opposition.
yeah. I mean, this next weekend is not gonna be easy, honestly, for
Yeah,
Atlanta. I mean, I don't see a game where it's gonna be a 3-0 win or something like that. I don't see that. If anything, I see a close game, how it was back in Atlanta, 2-1, 1-0 win.
Yeah, I
But
do too as well, as long as we can stay concentrated in the back, which I mean that's because they're even against Cincinnati and some other opposition, we've given them opportunities to finish, and I'm like, thank goodness a lot of these MLS strikers aren't as great as I thought they were, because some of these opportunities they should have finished better. But I think what you're saying is correct as well. I think it'll be a tight game, and hopefully we come out winners.
Did Anton Walks? I know that he was still recovering, and he could have came off the bench against Atlanta. Is he in now?
He is. He actually got his first official start yesterday,
Okay.
and I wasn't too impressed by him, to be honest with you.
I mean, yeah.
But
I mean,
he's coming off of an injury, so like it's kind of like a lot of these players. My thinking is in terms of me judging Miguel as a coach, I wanted to see 15 games from him before I actually made a decision on. But I've seen enough to know this is the guy that we need within these 6 games. Now with players, I want to see 5 to 10 games from them to actually make a judgment of what type of players we have, because it's very easy to throw a lot of these players under the bus after 2 or 3 performances. But I mean, it's 28 new players, in a new expansion team, so we have to give them time.
yeah,
well,
it
didn't your
definitely
coach
is
throw him
hard.
under the bus? Didn't your coach was the one that said we're screwed, right?
He did, man. Honestly, with that quote, he kind of, and I think that was more. It was a very. This is one thing I like about Miguel. He's a very, very clever coach, right? Because him saying that, it does throw the players under the bus. But here's the thing: the Charlotte fan base didn't blame him. They blamed the sporting director. They blamed the technical directors that actually built the team, right? So if we don't do well, the expectation has been there from the coach. But if we do well, it's not because of the team. It's because of our coach is being able to overperform with the team he has. So he's putting himself in a win-win situation, and he's also putting pressure on our department to say, "Hey, I need more reinforcements." So
We
Yeah,
don't
it's
know what
like
that's
this.
like in Atlanta. We don't know what that's
The
like.
same thing I was about to say just now, man. It's like with the same thing with Boca, man. Like when he got Heinz last year, like dude, it was like everybody Boca's out, hashtag Boca out. That's what it was all on Twitter. That's all you saw.
that's
It's
funny.
fun. It's fun watching players going after the sporting directors. But I mean, it's what you learn is just MLS and the salary cap is just ridiculous. Like it's just
Yeah.
it's really hard to understand. Even when they release these, how much people are making, you still can't figure out like what spots you have available, who's this.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad they're sharing a little bit more information, but still, there's legitimately no way that you could really figure out where you are in the salary cap,
And
and
there's
that's
stuff
what's
that I
frustrating.
see that's so crazy too. Like we acquired Derek Jones from Houston, and we paid them 250,000, but 50,000 of that was money that we let them borrow and that we get back next year. I was like, what? Like they're like, okay, we paid 200,000 for this player, but we're giving them 250,000, and they're gonna give us 250. I'm like, this is the. I was like, no other league stuff like this happens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, stupid. It's just stupid game and all of that. It's ridiculous, and hopefully they'll
Oh,
have something that they could figure out that's easily explainable. I love looking at salary caps for like the NFL and the NHL and all that. Like trying to figure out like okay they could fit this guy in all this. You can't do an
those
MLS.
numbers
It's
are
just like
big, man. Those are like 6-figure, like not seven. Those are 7-figure, like you know, numbers. Not like
the league couldn't
MLS.
figure it out. The league couldn't figure it out because Miami had 4 deep or 5 DPs or 30 DPs, a couple seasons ago, and nobody knew until after the season ended. So the league doesn't
Yeah.
even know what they're doing.
Or even allocation spots, man. Like I was like I was reading into that, and I'm like, okay, like I forgot what I saw where it said that like in parentheses, but if we want to change anything, we have the capability to do that at our discretion. I was like, so why even make this a rule, if you can change it at any time? So it's fun.
Something that I was actually talking with a buddy of mine about this earlier because I went and like watched the Spurs game earlier, with him, and we're actually talking about the same thing, man. Like, dude, if MLS were to get rid of that, and honestly, at some point they're gonna have to get rid of that whole DP rule, man, because they have dude. You have so many owners in MLS that are able to go out and spend money. I mean, you already see that, I will say in like a good 40% of like MLS, you got both LA teams, Portland, Seattle, you got New York City, well, both New York. You have Miami pulling 30 DPs as well. Atlanta spending money. Charlotte's got a owner that's able to
We have
spend.
the capability to. I don't think we will. But yeah, I get what
Yeah,
you're
I
saying.
mean, and that's the thing, man. With what that thing League Cup coming up next year, I mean, MLS has to compete with Liga MX, at some point. They're starting to get to that level, but I feel like they're
We have no depth on our bench.
they have more top teams than what MLS, I feel like they have more teams that are able to compete against MLS teams, and they should change that because you have, like I said, all these teams that are able to spend money, but what you have like Vancouver, Montreal, Cincinnati are teams that are basically, I feel like, holding that rule, or basically why that rule was there.
Yeah.
Well, you have teams that are cheap though. I mean, that like teams are like kind of behind the scenes, like saying, "Yeah, we want to spend, but we don't want to spend that much. So can we keep this rule?" And like, I think there's kind of like I mean, there's always some teams that don't want to look bad, and that's in every sport. Like you look at like baseball teams, right? Like there's no salary cap in baseball at all, and they're trying to avoid what happens in baseball. Like the Cleveland Indians have like a $30 million like team, the entire team, where like a player like Mike Trout makes more than the entire Cleveland Indians, and like they don't want to do things like that because I think they're just trying to avoid what the Premier League is, and it's usually the top 5 teams. The top 5, 6 spenders are always going to usually finish in the top 3. Like it's almost guaranteed every time, unless you just get some random team that goes on a miracle run.
100%, I agree with you. I think it was somebody from the Miami camp that said that as well. Like you just got some owners in the league that just aren't ambitious, man. So
it's frustrating for sure. But like you see a team like Columbus that never spent, but they got new ownership. They saved the crew. A new people came in. They spent the most money they ever, and literally that year they win MLS Cup. Like that's just where the league's at. But
I mean, I think Seattle's the best team of understanding how to maximize what you have, and spend, not having to spend too aggressively.
Yeah, and they have had that success, honestly, and they have brought that type of caliber players where they haven't been spending a ton of money. We have Josh Simmons over here saying Cronk doesn't even spend for Arsenal, so he wouldn't for Colorado. Yeah, Colorado's another one too that Colorado doesn't spend, but I mean, we saw them
they were good.
Yeah, last season they were pretty good. Honestly, man, I don't know about Philly, man, but I hate to give them credit, man, but they've been, pretty consistent, but they haven't really made that run to like actually be like in like MLS Cup. We've seen them play or like be up there in those top spots.
The one thing I do see from Philly, I mean, they added 2 DP strikers this season, in Ura and Carranza. And it's a team that knows how they want to play. That's why, like, even in our preview, like everybody was hype after our first 2 wins, but I'm like, okay, this is going to be a real test for us. And I didn't see us winning that game. And I mean, we lost it, right? Because it's a team that's had the same coach for 8 years. They know they're going to play that 4-4-2 with the diamond. They're going to be very direct. They just know how they're going to play, right? And they're a team that's very strong at home. So I do see. I think Philly. I mean, last year they had a great run, man. I mean, they lost to the champs pretty much, to New York City FC. So I mean,
they had COVID, right? They were the team without
that whole thing. Yeah,
and it still took NYCFC till extra time to beat them. So that lets
COVID killed Philly. I mean, COVID eliminated.
Pretty much.
So. Yeah, Phillies, man. Philly, like also with the academy
Yeah, it's
as
a good
well.
point too.
Yeah, they've had a lot of players, be pretty successful out of their academy.
So where are you guys at in injuries? Like, who don't you have, or you think maybe won't be available?
So currently, we don't have Chris Hagart, who's a midfielder that we got, young guy, 21. He had some meniscus issues and he had a surgery, so he'll be out for about 6 to 8 weeks. And a striker that we bought, Vinicius Mello, um, a couple months ago, he still hasn't recovered. It seems like the surgery that they did in Brazil for him, like, ended up being worse than actually helping him. So I've asked about him and like I don't get like a clear when he'll be back. So those are the two that stick out to me right now. Everybody else I think we should have available unless something comes up this week. I mean Swiderski's back 100%. A lot of our key players are will play this weekend.
Cool.
Yeah,
We had 2 injuries that came
yeah,
in
sounds pretty
yesterday. 2 of our
crappy.
midfielders, Alonso and Josedu, which uh, I don't think. I think we might see Alonso maybe, but I think Rosetto's getting a MRI. I think they said so. That's never a good sign.
Yeah.
But we just got healthy. Like we literally just got healthy, and
Yeah,
now
man.
we're our midfield's hurting again.
Yeah. And then Almada has played what, 2 or 3 games now? I know he came in against us.
Yeah, that was his
Yeah,
first start, and he's had 2 off the bench.
Okay.
Uh, you know,
You know who I really like
showing.
from you guys? Marcelino Moreno. He's a beast, man.
he's very underrated, honestly. Yeah,
Yeah.
he gets a lot of hate, honestly, from some fans, which is pretty stupid, just because he's like inconsistent. But he has been like
The
pretty
games I've
fucking
seen him, he's
solid,
looked good.
honestly.
Even when the 2-1 that you guys beat us was an amazing ball that he did.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah. I
remember
mean,
who's
Yeah,
behind.
all the way around.
I was like, dude, I was like, bro, what a perfect pass.
even last night, I mean, he had a pretty solid game. I know a lot of
Did he
people
score
judge
the
him,
game winner?
yeah,
Yeah,
he off a
Okay.
header from a corner kick, right?
Okay. Well, I
yeah,
mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't watch Atlanta enough to let you know, but like the games I've seen him, I'm like, I like this guy.
yeah.
And
No,
that's like
he's
why like
really been
MLS
pretty
is really
solid.
good. Like Atlanta's really good at that because he was a DP. He came in as a DP a couple years ago during 2020, and they were able to immediately buy him down.
Yeah.
And then they got Franco, who was a DP, and then they bought him down. Like it's, I think that's been really a good way of they've been able to bring in some good players and start them up and then buy them down. And I
And
think it's been
I think it's something
fantastic.
similar that we're implementing as well. Even like now that I think about it, that you asked me about injuries, our second designated player, Kamil Yazviak, he he we're waiting for him for his visa stuff so he can come to Charlotte. He was on an injury as well, but I think he's 100% now. So if he last week in Miguel's press conference, he said ideally he'd be back in a week, which was last Thursday. So if we can get him back within Monday through Wednesday of this week, there's a small chance that we might see him against Atlanta, maybe 10, 15 minutes, which would be great for us, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we see Louise down here, our big DP, our
Yeah.
highest paid player. I mean,
How
it's
long
tough.
is he out for?
He was supposed to be back after the break, which was the original diagnosis, and Darren Neal said last week that there was a good chance that they were going to take their time with him. And who knows? I mean, it could be the same situation you just said, possibly where he could maybe play, 10, 15 minutes, maybe. But we got to see if he gets back to practice this week. But that would be huge if we'd be able to bring him into the lineup because I think once we get all these DPs in and playing together for a little bit, it's going to be special for sure. And
You
already
know who?
just seeing what Almada is, like what Almada's become, like I mean, it's been one full appearance and two. I think one was like 45 minutes and one was like 25, 30 minutes. He's improving with every game that he plays. He's getting comfortable.
I mean,
Yeah,
and
honestly,
on top of that, you get that guys like Joseph Martinez, right? Sosa. I mean, I think your squad valuation, I think, is really high. Like, I think I saw it was like 85 million or something like that. And I'm like, wow, like that's impressive.
And we still have one
Yeah.
U22 spot to fill as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you mentioned Sosa as well. I mean, we got him back, recently. He was also out for, from a hernia. Then we had Ibarra also came in yesterday, which I mean, we hadn't seen him play as well for a while. I feel like those guys are gonna get more minutes, with possibly Alonso and Rossetto being, injured. More of Rossetto, Alonso, hopefully, it's not too serious, but with Sosa, I feel like he's gonna start racking up those minutes. Or even Hyman, man, we haven't seen him yet. I mean, I don't know if eventually, he's gonna get some minutes soon.
Yeah, they said they're really slow playing that one. We might not see him until I would think we might not see him till May. I think they're really going to try to make sure that he's okay.
Gotcha. How do you guys your thoughts on your coach Gonzalo Pineda? Like, what have you seen from him? Has the team improved after Heinze or?
You couldn't get worse, and they're hydrated. So like those are like the two positive things, right? Like they got water,
Yeah.
and your star player isn't threatening to walk out. So like when you don't have those two issues, I think you're way better off. I would say that for us, we always wanted to sign these big coaches, right? And shock the world. We got Tata Martino, we got Frank de Boer.
Yeah.
I mean, he was kind of a big name. He was a big name a long time ago, and then he sucked for a while. But then
Player
got
wise, yeah,
Heinze.
he was a big name.
Yeah, Heinze. I mean, you're getting these big names, and immediately when they start getting any type of success, I mean, even Heinze already started getting talk about going other places, and he wasn't doing well at that time. Just no consistency. Like it was like a 2-year plan over and over and over again, right? Get your players in, completely change your squad, within a year, and then hope that second year you were going to win a championship, and if not, you're starting all over again, right? Well, Pineda's, I think the plan is him be here long term, him be here, 5 to 10 years. And I think that's what's really needed, I think, in MLS, because Frank de Boer never even watched MLS. He literally said 5 times, I never watched MLS before. Okay. We hired this guy. But no, I think that what he's brought is, healing, which was what this team needed right last year. It seemed like it was a disaster.
That's a good way of putting
Joseph's
it.
threatened to walk out. Joseph's there's articles coming out of secret things about Joseph and how he demanded to get sold somewhere, and it was just drama. And Pineda's definitely made the environment different, and I think that's what's really important. I think with the team, and at least with that, you saw the players happy.
That's an
And
undervalued thing, man. Like, especially that, I think that's one thing I see with our coaches, that's really good is, I mean, the guy, is just such a man, he knows how to manage players as well. He brings this motivation factor to them, and he cares for them, which I think is something that's from the players I've talked to, that make their career here, they don't often see that. When you're going into a first team, the coach is up here to them, and the people that I've talked to, they're like, yo, Miguel is so humble, and he treats you this sounds bad, but like a human being, And I'm like, that's pretty cool that your players feel that passion that you have, and they kind of wrap their arms around him. So
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to have that, because going back to what Tommy said, I mean, you have, what the whole thing with Heinz last year. I mean, you definitely want to have that type of coach where, it's more understanding, on the human side more than anything. I mean, that's where you see a lot of these big name coaches, Georgian Klopp, Guardiola, these guys, Bielsa,
yeah,
guys like that, yeah, they look at the player, more than a player. You know what I mean? They look at more of the human side of it, and that's more of the factor that plays into it. And Pineda has obviously had, has played or has changed that factor, after Heinz came in. But uh, if there's one thing, man, that and I mean, yeah, I'm gonna sound like I'm criticizing, but I've kind of, I don't know if it's like a lack of identity, but I haven't really seen, like, especially this beginning of the season, this 6 games of the season or so, that I haven't seen basically like a team identity, so where either they want to play direct, or they want to keep possession of the ball. I understand, not every single team it's the same, they're
Yeah.
not gonna play against you. You gotta play, or have a different approach to it. But
There's no you still haven't seen a consistent style of play, right?
exactly, and that's something that, what, 2017, 18, and someone 19 with the board, there was a style, of play, whether it was boring or it was, exciting to watch. You just wanted to see some type of,
Yeah,
consistency throughout.
it's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's gonna be tough, honestly, man. Next week for sure, for Atlanta. Hopefully, man. I hope that a lot of fans show out. I know yesterday I was on Twitter Spaces, and um there was a couple people that said that they were gonna go. And I mean, hopefully, man. There's some good support. I know there was a lot of Charlotte fans that showed up to the game in Atlanta. So
Which, to be
I'm
honest with
hoping.
you, I wasn't expecting there to be that many. I knew we were gonna take a good crowd, but I was impressed because we had just, I mean, like, a lot of us traveled to Charleston to watch the team play. Then there was a big crowd that went to DC, right? Then at home, and then like another away trip, like back to back. Like, I'm like, dude, this is getting expensive for a lot of people, but we still showed up in numbers, which I was pleasantly surprised by.
Yeah. Speaking of expensive, man, your guys' tickets are pretty pricey, man, compared to, like, a lot of other teams, man.
They are,
That's
man.
something that I feel like is gonna have to, change, unless you guys, start balling out, but like I feel like it's gonna have to, come down to the point where it gets affordable, man, because they
Yeah.
really are pricey.
That's the one thing that we criticize the club the most. Like, they lost an opportunity there, especially, I mean, first of all, we're the only teams with PSLs, which to me is wrong in general. We've had conference, you have no idea how much we've pushed against that, but at the end of the day, like, I mean, the club's averaging the 30,000 that they said they would. They sold out the first game. So I'm like, okay, like, how much more can we talk about it if, like, they're getting the numbers that they said that they would get, right? But yeah, like, even taking that off, we still have one of the highest pricings in terms of tickets in the league. And I hope they do change it, man. Like, now it's more of a hope, whether it's more of a hope from our and then it might actually happen. Because if I think if they were priced the tickets more, uh price them better, we could see it instead of having 30,000, maybe 35 to 40,000 people show up for our games.
Do the
Yeah,
Carolina Panthers have PSLs as well?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, so
And
the Falcons have PSLs, and you'd say, well, okay, if the fans don't show up, like maybe they'll get rid of them. The fans haven't been showing up for the Falcons for years, man, and
yeah,
it's not gonna
yeah,
it
I
doesn't
know.
go away.
It won't go anywhere. I know the PSL side won't go anywhere, but hopefully the ticket pricing may be decreased. That's something I'd like to see. But even, like, if you're a Panthers fan and you have PSLs for Panthers and you're a Charlotte fan, you still have to buy another PSL. So it's not like you can use your same PSL,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, that's ridiculous. Like trying to, if you wanted to, you'd have to double up on PSLs to go to.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy. That's silly. At least Atlanta didn't do that for soccer. If they would have done that, that definitely would have caused some major issues. So at least they were smart on that.
yeah. 100%. I mean, here, I mean, like, yeah, like from a perspective, we're getting screwed. But I mean, they're making the numbers that they said they're making. So I mean, like, they're putting money in their pockets, which at the end of the day, this is a business, unfortunately. But like, yeah, like the fans from that perspective, in my opinion, we're still getting screwed there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, PSLs are a thing that I think have been mostly going away across sports, but every once in a while you got these teams that just love to keep it and think that it's just an extra source of money.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I don't know if you guys want to add anything else or, any questions, jumping into next week's game
Got a prediction?
or
Let's do predictions here.
score wise, man. I'll say
What is it?
Atlanta wins 3-2. That's what I say. I'll say there'll be a good bit of goals in that game.
Okay. I'll go the opposite. I think it's going to be a tight game, and I think we win it 1-0. I think the players are going to be up for it, especially coming out of this loss. Hopefully, we play. I want to see us continue to play. The 2 games we've won, we've played a 4-4-2, and we've had our most excellent football there. So hopefully, we see that again against you guys, and I think we'll win 1-0.
What about you, Tommy?
Oh boy. I see this team improving. I see Atlanta improving a lot. Charlotte struggled, but I think last time I guess 3-0 was going to be the score, and then obviously we had that tight game. I'm gonna stick with it 3-0 Atlanta.
Oh wow! Okay.
I
That's
think
pretty
Joseph
bold.
needs to get going here at some point in time, and
Yeah.
I think that we're seeing. I mean, I know the midfield is going to be a little bit different than what it was this week, but I think that they're starting to get into their own here. And like you said, Moreno's just been fantastic. So we need a blowout here sooner or later. And this is definitely like this is we were talking about scheduling, and I know you guys obviously started off at least a little bit difficult right away with LA, but for us like the first 2 months like the schedule's like pretty easy at least when you look at it at the beginning of the season. And this month it's like what we got. We had DC, who I think has been overplaying. Then we got Charlotte, who's just still new,
Yeah.
and then you have we have
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, and then we have Montreal, which is still pretty good, but they're
It's a winnable game for you guys.
yeah. I think that Montreal game is in Montreal. Yeah, that's a road.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of road games.
As opposite to us, where like I feel like we've got screwed. LA, we play you guys twice. We play New England twice. We play Philly. After you guys, we have to go to New England, then Orlando away as well. And so the only game I really saw us winning out of those first 5 was Cincy. We actually ended up beating New England as well, so which is great. Right. And I think there's like an MLS stat that like every expansion team, the average point base after 10 games is about 10 points, which I was like, okay, like we're already ranging within that average, which is fine to me now, especially when our coach at the beginning of the season says we're screwed, right?
Yeah.
So, and we can't be any worse than Miami. Miami looks horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're Cincinnati 2.0 without a doubt.
It's crazy how like the height for Miami, and it was like Beckham, 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 like it's
Yeah.
shoved down your throat. And then they were bringing in all these players, and they were saying they're going to be fantastic. Here's what we're going to do: we're going to get Messi in a couple years, maybe, and the insanity. And they have just been one mess up after another. Like
Yeah.
I mean, like people give a lot of trash to Cincinnati, and I know they've been not good, and they've had a lot of drama and a lot of coaches. But I think Miami is just. I mean, they have a little bit more success on the field, but off the field, I think Miami is way worse than what Cincinnati is right now.
100%, man. I mean,
Uh,
that's the one thing that I see that we've actually done well in terms of like, okay, like ever since the beginning, Charlotte always said before we even had a coach, this is the identity we want to have is possession-based attacking football. What did we do? We went ahead and got a coach that plays that type of style, right? And even the coaches said, if I'm here for the 3 years that they set, they're telling me my objective is to take this team from where it's at to a competitive team that can compete for titles, right? which I'm like, okay, there's a clear path of what they want to do. Do they have the players yet? Not yet, right? But at least I can see what we're trying to do. Versus Miami, I just feel like it's a nightmare, right? Like they have quality players, and I'm like, first of all, your first issue was giving Neville the job, right? Like, what kind of qualifications did he have to be a coach? And not only that, like in the MLS, like this is one of the most complicated leagues to coach in, with all the things that you have to understand that go into actually coaching in this league as well.
I
Yeah.
agree. Like the physicality, like I don't think that these coaches have come in and like I think Heinze and DeBoer are definitely examples of that. Like they came in and like didn't realize how physical MLS is.
You know
And
what?
like, they get fouled, like players are getting fouled and like they're like and like I get it, like I understand, but like we've been watching MLS for a while. We know that this is what it is. We know that these refs are garbage, right? Like they're I don't even want to get started on that. But it's a garbage league as far as refereeing goes, and like these coaches come in, and it's like, yeah, you haven't watched MLS, like you did not take the test, you did not
Yeah.
take the test prior, like you don't know how the league works, and I think that's like just what's so important with finding a coach is like legitimately finding someone that's preparing themselves for the league. Like Tata Martino had a book of players like MLS that he was interested in, like he actually went out and like asked for some players, like he studied the league for a couple years before he got in.
Wow.
And,
Great.
I think that's what Pineda, like, I mean, obviously he's played in MLS, he's coached in MLS, like, so it's like he knows what this league is all about. And he
Yeah.
knows about the travel. I think one of the coach, I think it was DeBoer, was like, I can't believe we have to travel so much. And they went to Seattle and he was like blowing up about having to go to Seattle. It's like, yeah, this isn't the Premier League where you just take a train, down the street to go to your next game. Like, you're going on a 4-hour flight, man. Like,
Yeah. Right.
it's weird how some of these owners and sporting directors run their teams, and it's like they just don't understand the league. And I
Yeah.
think once you find the right player or the right staff that understand the league, like that just puts you levels above everybody else. Because like spending money's cool, but in MLS, if you spend money on one wrong person, it can completely destroy your roster, Jurgen Damm. And I mean, it's just like what it is, and like that, like that's what Atlanta United, like they threw a ton of money at Emerson Hyman, and I like Emerson Hyman, but like he was injured for a year, but it was a lot of money for him, right? And like whenever the salary list comes out, like every franchise is like looking through that list, trying to find someone to be pissed off about because, like Zardes, when Zardes before they won a MLS Cup, people didn't know he was a DP at the time, and people were flipping out that he was a DP because they didn't know. Like Columbus never announced it. And yeah, I mean it's crazy, and he was terrible that year too. So like people were really freaking out about it, and now he sucks again. So thank God for that, right?
Right.
But I mean, it's just the league is in general. You need to have a smart sporting director, and right now Atlanta doesn't really have one. I don't think. I think to a point he's okay, but I mean, yeah, if you don't spend money the right way or you sign some crazy contracts, it's going to kill you.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up, guys. Thank you, Jorge, for coming on here, man. If anybody wants to follow you, Top Ben 90 on Twitter.
Right.
Tommy, Go Ducks. What's your Twitter, man? I forgot your Twitter.
Let's go Ducks 96.
Yeah, let's go Ducks 96, man.
Yeah, and come hang out with
if-
us on Twitter Spaces on Jersey South Soccer. We do it after every game. So
yeah, man.
keep it.
Anything else you want to add, Jorge, before we head out, man?
Nah, man. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I look forward to this game coming up, and I look forward to continuing to change that perception that Charlotte gave at the beginning, where people just thought we were going to be another Cincinnati. And I think people are slowly starting to realize that okay, like Charlotte's going to be a decent team. So hopefully we
Yeah.
can continue to do that.
Yeah, hopefully, man, because like how even Tommy was saying earlier, man, Orlando ain't shit, honestly, man. We need actually a good rival that's gonna, put up a good game, and it's gonna give up, it's gonna be a good entertaining game. We want to see like a freaking El Tráfico, you know, from LA,
Yeah.
like 4-3 games, you know, like those type of games are gonna give you that type of emotions, you know.
And that only helps the league. If you have a strong
Exactly.
Atlanta and a strong Charlotte, you're like, okay, like I kind of want to watch that game because you know these are two really good teams that are about to play each other, developing a rivalry, continuing, especially like how close we are. Only in the MLS you think 4 hours is close, right?
Yeah, I know, right? Freaking like 300 miles away is like close.
Oh, this is a close match. We can make it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, but it'll definitely, man, it'll start getting better, man. It'll definitely start getting better for you guys, and you know, definitely for for the league, it'll help as well, and it'll be entertaining to watch, you know, for the upcoming games. You know, who knows, man? We'll maybe cross paths, you know, in the U.S. Open Cup or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be good
Open
too,
Cup
man.
game. Yeah. So, all right, man. Thank you, Jorge, for your time, man, being on here, and Tommy, you too, man. Hey, have fun on your vacation, dude.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, got a
Yeah,
little
Where you
man.
delayed,
headed
but yeah,
to?
I'll be going to Orlando. So
Oh, nice.
for a couple days. So I guess I'll be on Sunday. I'm traveling home, so I'll be at a bar airport watching this game. I'm glad it's on ABC. Like that was my thing. I was like, oh, cool. I could actually watch this at the airport.
Nice.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right. Well, I'm
dude.
gonna go watch WrestleMania, guys. So I'll see you
All
later.
right.
Cool, dude. All right, man. Thank you, Jorge, man.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
All right, dude.